So we focus a lot at EY on our purpose, and it's been transformational. Our purpose, as a result, Beth talked about it, building a better working world. It means a lot of things to lots of different people, and we bring it down to the very basics to each of our individuals. We aren't just a bunch of accountants, a bunch of M&A specialists, a bunch of tax experts, a bunch of strategy people. We are digital pioneers helping to fight data privacy. We are guiding governments through cash flow crisis. We're unlocking medical treatments with data analytics. We're helping entrepreneurs bring their ideas to life. If our people don't think about it like that, they're not going to be excited to work those long hours. It cannot be about what you do. It's got to be about the value add to the world. As we've been explicit about our purpose, we've seen dramatic positive results. In Universum, which is an independent organization, looks at business students from around the world. For the last 3 years in a row, we're on the top 3 most preferred employers. And I'm very happy to say at Cornell, we're number 1, so I thank Cornell students for that. I attribute it to people understanding our purpose and really being excited about things. And it's not just EY, lots of other people do this. We did a study with Harvard Business Review, sorry, it's Harvard Business, but of business leaders. And they believe, and all these, 87% of the people who responded said that if you have a purpose beyond profit, that you will be more successful. DuPont's purpose, make people live better, safer, and healthier. Unilever's, make sustainable living commonplace. I think you're going to hear more and more about the power of purpose in businesses around the world. Third key to leadership, communicate, communicate, communicate to all your stakeholders. You cannot just have a purpose within the organization. A shared purpose will help all of your stakeholders. If you want to succeed today, you can no longer just talk to your shareholders. You can't talk to your business owners. You need to convince everybody of your strategy, your operations, and how you want to get there. It's no longer an imperial CEO with an idea that says do it and somehow everything gets done. It's about building a global team. It is different today with expanses all around the world, gaining their trust and support, and bringing all your stakeholders along. Mark Benioff, who's the CEO of Salesforce.com, put it really well. He said, the reason my company is so successful is because I am focused on my stakeholders, not my shareholders. To really think and be successful as a CEO today, you need to think in a multi-stakeholder framework. What he's recognizing is that the shareholder return is not necessarily as important as how happy your employees are. It's about the commitment and sustainability you have in your communities. It's about the role you play in the world, and I really admire that. If you want your stakeholders to come along with you, you really have to explain to them what you're doing. You have to listen as well as talk. And we know trust in government and business is strained today. There's not a lot of trust out there at all. But when you build that trust, and Steve Covey wrote a book on this, it's called Speed to Trust. When you build that trust, it is amazing how you can accelerate your strategy. And you get the benefit of the doubt, and people buy into what you're doing. So don't underestimate trust in everything we do. So the last key is to build a diverse team for a diverse world. Your most important stakeholders, I believe, are your employees, especially for us. We're a professional service firm. We don't bring technology forward by itself. We don't manufacture things. Our value is our ideas, our people, our energy, and our ability to consult with our clients. When you're looking at this world, if you don't have the right people around the table asking the right questions, you will get the wrong answers, there's no doubt. Think of this, when voice recognition software was created, it was a huge success until they realized the software had one enormous flaw. It couldn't register women's voices or people with accents. And why do you think that was? Because it was created by all Western males sitting around a table. Now, if that was a more diverse group, do you think they would have had a different answer? Same story with airbags. They were a huge breakthrough, an automotive safety bonanza. There's just one problem. When they were created, the first model didn't work for children or women. The male design team modeled them after their own body type, which was too large for the general population. Simple mistakes resulted in huge problems. The product had to go back to the drawing board. Could have been avoided if there was a diverse perspective on the team. And especially in today's business world, you're going to have to be diverse. Think of this. In 2005, just 10 years ago, if you look at the 500 biggest companies in the world, there were 57 headquartered in emerging markets. Fast forward to today, just 10 years later, there's 157 of the largest companies in the world were companies you never heard of 5 years ago in emerging markets. 10 years from now, maybe over half the companies, the biggest ones in the world, could be from other parts of the world we never heard of. If you want to serve them, work with them, understand them, you better have people that come from them as well. And so it's incredibly important to have that diversity. Diversity is no longer nice and just moral. It is a business imperative. Study after study of global companies will show you that businesses with greater diversity enjoy tremendous advantages. Higher employment retention, better teamwork, stronger growth and earnings. But the hard part is, it's not simple. You can't just send a memo out and say, be diverse. You can't put quotas in and say, fill them. You have to develop a culture of diversity, not an initiative. And it takes time and energy and effort because there's a lot of unconscious bias out there. So you have to build that culture day in and day out, and you have to have leadership, but you have to do it on your account teams every day. I'm going to slip to my last section here and just talk about, for those of you who are not global CEOs and don't think about all these issues, I hope you find them fascinating and interesting, but I also want to address you because you're probably wondering, well, I'm not a CEO, but what skills, I want to be a CEO, or I want to be a government leader, or I want to be somebody else someday who has this opportunity. What skills do I need? Three quick suggestions. First is, if you're a student today, you need to realize you're already a CEO. You're a CEO of your own life. And you need to take responsibility and control for it. When you walk out of here, you're going to have more opportunities than you could possibly imagine. Some of you might have an idea where you want to go, and that's fine. But keep searching and refining the plan. The school, Cornell in particular, has prepared you to do more than you can possibly imagine. Your degree enables you, it doesn't define you. I think about me. I'm running a big accounting firm today. I'm not an accountant. I started my own law firm. I never practiced law before. I worked in the government. I never had an advanced degree in political science. If I said I could only do what my degree says, I wouldn't have done any of these things. What you get from a university like this is the ability to learn how you learn, how to have integrity, how to team, things that are life skills that are incredibly important, well beyond what you learn in your classrooms and are summation of your grades or your courses. And you have to think about it that way because the jobs you're looking for today won't be here 10 years from now. They'll be different ones. And you have to be equipped for that. So remember, the world, it's good at this. It will find your limitations, but only you could find those opportunities. More than any previous generation, I think there are tremendous opportunities out there. But again, you need to take responsibility for it. Second, when you focus on the seat at the conference table, do not substitute your seat at the dinner table. Balance is absolutely key to sustainable success. Eventually, you're going to have families and lives that matters a lot more than your job does, and that's a good thing. And you're going to have to make some hard choices. But I promise, you will be able to achieve balance. It's up to you. Again, you have to be the CEO. No matter how fast you're moving, though, you have to take stock of that. I mean, in my own life, I have it all the time. You got to learn to live with guilt, okay? That's reality. Because whatever you're doing, you're not doing something somewhere else. There's many times I had to, and my wife is sitting here and she knows, make many compromises. I had to leave a big speech I was giving in China to all of our brand new partners to come home and take my daughter to her first driving test because I committed to do that for her. I missed a World Economic Forum meeting because I wanted to go with her to school her first day in college with my wife and bring her there. At the time, they seemed like really tough decisions. But if you really think about it, they weren't hard at all. Because over the long term, what's more important, your resume or your obituary? And I want to make sure that my obituary and my daughter doesn't say anything bad about me. And the last bit of advice is my favorite, and because it's from my dad, and I mentioned about Beth starting out. You know, my father said to me, he was my best friend, and he was my best man at my wedding, and he said, Mark, it's really important to never forget who you are or where you came from. Every time I got a new job, and I think, Beth, you went through almost all of them, I'd call my father and I'd say, Dad, this is great. Here's my new thing. And he'd say, that's unbelievable, Dad. His son. He said, that's unbelievable. But he said, remember, I'd love you no matter what your title is. And those were the best 9 words I ever had, because it gave me the confidence to fail. Confidence to recognize that I need to do the right thing and good things would happen. If they didn't happen, it's okay. So the last advice is, don't ever forget who you are, where you came from. Don't forget the people who helped you get there. You could change the world without it changing you. It could happen, and lots of people do that.